Gardner was arrested for? He wasn't arrested, he was killed. It was ruled a homicide. Who did it? If it was ruled a homicide, who did it? Over a cigarette. A cigarette, they took his life. He has 6
Justice
kids.
for everyone.
6 kids. This has been going on for years, but it needs to stop. Because God forbid it's your friend or your family member. What are you gonna do? How much more of this can anybody withstand? How much more? How would you feel if it was one of your friends, one of a good friend of yours that you ate at his house, you ate with him, you starved with him, you made money with him? It hurts me a lot. And it's a shame that this man gets to walk free. Yo, hold on. And it's a shame that this man gets to walk free. He did. The man said, I can't breathe. That's all he did. I can't breathe. He said, this stops today. What are you guys doing to me? Why are you guys doing this? Why? What did I do wrong? What did I do? They weren't able to tell him what he did wrong at all.
They better be lucky that black people have the temperament and the spiritual backing that we do.
It's not just terrifying for me, but it's terrifying for all my friends who are mothers. You know, I'm 20, a lot of my friends are 22 and 23, and they had their kids very young, and you know, that's not the problem. The problem here is now these kids have to grow up in a society where, you know, we don't know if we want to send our kids to the store. We don't even know if we want to send them to school. We're going to be homeschooling our kids forever because we don't ever want them to be profiled. I don't know any black man ever who has not been stopped by police.
We're not for violence. We're trying to do everything peacefully. But you guys act like you guys don't want peace no more. Because let me tell you something. It's gonna be a time when the shirt and ties are gonna be coming off.
It could be
the loafers are gonna be coming off. And then you're gonna turn us into something that we don't even want to be.
It was an incident of blatant racism caught on camera. 2 students expelled, and the Sigma Alpha Epsilon chapter at the University of Oklahoma shut down in March. And there are other cases of racial tension sparking outrage on campuses across the country. After days of protests, the University of Missouri's president, Tim Wolf, forced to step down following a hunger strike by a student and a threatened boycott by the school's football team after Wolf did little to respond to several racially charged incidents on campus, including a swastika drawn in feces at a campus dorm.
We out here, we've been here, we ain't leaving, we are love.
Pain.
Power.
Division. Disappointment.
Belittlement.
Self-destruction.
Pain.
Sadness.
Inequality.
Hatred.
Hatred.
Ignorance.
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 Racism is systematic. It's used to make sure the other race doesn't rise or become successful.
I think that racism is the idea that people are separate or better than another group of people based on the color of their skin.
Racism is discrimination against a group that can be due to ethnicity, gender, or race.
Racism is about putting another group of people in a specific stereotype. And off of that stereotype, you react based on how you was taught to react. Whether it be with hatred, whether it be with just mean and nasty behavior, anything that you wouldn't do to someone you love.
Every day. I mean, every day I walk out of my house, it may not be direct, you know, I may not be called the N-word or, you know, it doesn't need to be direct. It's supposed to Sometimes it's supposed to be even very vague and silent.
You may not know it when it's done, or you may realize it until after the fact, but yes, I have been hurt by racism. Because I'm a black male, it's very hard in today's society to not only strive for greatness, but there's barriers that's set in place for us to be great. And we have to push through those because that they are white and they have privilege, that we should not, I guess, combat those privilege or be seen as equal with them.
I definitely felt the sting of racism. Like, I definitely felt its presence around me. Like recently, this happened actually yesterday when I went to a gas station to get some gas and just get some snacks. As I was pulling up, there's one other car there, and the person that was in the car was a white man, and he got out the car, and as I was pulling up, he glanced over at me. I figured it was just another man just glancing over, curious to see who was in the car, like normal human reaction. But when I looked over, like the next 20 seconds later, he was still staring at me, and I felt like that cold stinging stare, like it really cut deep.
I can't say that I haven't. I believe that any black male or female has been affected by racism in some way, shape, or form. I remember I was a freshman in high school. I went to a school called Whiteland High School. Whiteland High School. The name speaks for itself, right? Well, it was only 20 black students in a school, or maybe about like 2,000 students. It was only 20 black students there. And I remember I was in class one day because I was always the only black person in my class. And I raised my hand to answer a question, and the question, well, my answer was very intelligent. And I heard someone say, they whispered to someone else, like, how did she answer that question? Or I didn't think she know that question, or something like that. And I was just thinking, like, okay, just because I'm black or just because I'm a woman or whatever, I have to carry myself different because of how you already thinking in your head without even knowing me.
There's stereotypes against me. There's all these things already built up against me. That's what racism is. And so I can't even say that I haven't, even if no one's ever directly hurt me by it.
And I'm not one to jump to racism, but I definitely, that's what it really definitely felt like. Back home, especially living in the rough parts of Chicago where I grew up, as a young boy, when the man stares at you like that, he's either going to rob you or jump you or something like that. So just seeing another stare like that, especially coming from a white man, that really brings back memories. And it's just, that stare, like, you just don't forget that. Like, I don't think I ever forget that man's face just based off that.
You probably used to stereotypes of all black students or all black kids coming from the ghetto and going to a inner city school with not a lot of funding for books. But little did you know, yes, I'm from that place, but that doesn't mean that I can't compete with you all on another level. That doesn't mean that I can't compete with you all intelligently and intellectually, so that I can be able to get where I need to go in life as well.
One racial issue I definitely see on campus is that people on Eastern, like especially the white population, they just tolerate blacks and not just like fully accept them. People really see us as we're just here, just another group of students here just to have fun and party and stuff like that, not take it seriously.
I think we face this just big ball of fear and ignorance. I can't pinpoint it to one thing, but it's just formed around this thing of ignorance. Like, I don't know this culture, so I'm just assuming that they're dangerous. I don't know this culture, so I'm going to assume that we should stop certain events, or we should send police at this certain event just because we think maybe something bad might happen, because maybe these people are bad, because we don't know anything about them.
I think it's really socially the way that we just kind of interact with each other, because you have the black organizations, the white organizations, the black events, the white events. And then, of course, all the other races who don't have as large of a population, so they kind of try to find a place to fit in, or they'll group together. So I think it's just the way that we interact with each other, or the lack of interaction that we have with each other.
People really don't notice how much of an impact blacks have had on Eastern, and it's crazy how people don't really realize that. And what's even more crazy is that people really have like a lot of organizations have all like the forums and all the diversity events they can want, like they have, but really it's just, preaching to the choir.
The university board is the major programming board for the university, so they put on all of the university's major events, such as concerts, the opening weekend, things like that. Also open mic nights and ice skating rinks. Most of the big events that happen on campus, university board is responsible for. The board is made up of students who are the coordinators, and they're required to plan the events. So recently, we've had problems filling the board. We've had vacancies on the board, and we've been extending applications. And we got quite a few applicants, and we go through screening processes and interviews. And there have been times when we've had more of a certain race apply or than another race. And it kind of brings up the issue of the board not being diverse enough, where we're challenged to continue holding vacancies or continuing the interview process because we want to make sure that we have a full representation of our student body. But at times it seems like people can be turned away or turned off about applying to the board because they're unsure of whether it's a black organization or not, because they see so many black faces working the events or planning the events.
Being African-American students, I feel that there is a such thing as called white privilege when it comes to the classroom, especially when it comes to teachers. I feel like sometimes they have their favorites, and I've seen this on certain occasions where the teacher would allow a student, because they had him or her before in their class, and because of their color, that they were exempt from assignment that they may missed or excused from any other things that we have done in the class, such as class activities. But if we were to do it, or if I had a legitimate excuse, I would still either have to make up the project or assignment, or I would not get full credit.
That kind of turned people away from applying to it, which is really unfortunate, because I wouldn't say that I would say that every applicant every coordinator that's on the board is qualified to be a coordinator regardless of their race. So it's kind of unfortunate that we have to be mindful of that as much as we do.
As a university, we should all treat each other equally, no matter what rank you are. If you're a teacher, a student, or any faculty, everybody should be treated equally. Policies that should be made, definitely the Union Party policies. I feel like, of course, it should be some restrictions set in place, because we don't want things to get too out of hand. But I feel like the process of going about getting a Union Party, it's just too strict, and then that's what's causing people to be deterred from actually throwing parties on campus. I feel like the campus should want students to throw parties on campus because it will be a safer environment, as well as that's just showing the unity between the students in as well as the campus, or organizations with the campus, showing that they can actually work as one. Causing people to turn away, that's just showing that they're making it hard for us to actually be an actual student, I guess, showing that we do have school spirit and we want to use our campus, but we have restrictions set in place so we can't do that.
Eastern needs to work on education. I think because of the tensions, we're kind of getting comfortable as a campus with ignoring one another. And so an event just recently happened in the communication department where EIU and Charleston came together to talk about the issues. That could be a thing that actually happens. That could be not forcing, but letting students be in the same room and talk about these things because they're real. They really happen. And it just really starts with education. It's really safe to ignore it. It's really safe to pretend, but yeah, you can't pretend anymore. You can't run. We're too involved in it now, and so I think that it just needs to start off with education and more education and drilling that into all of us.
The process for entrance for the Union Party, you have to go through one entrance, regardless if it's in the University Ballroom or if we're at the McAfee Gym. You have to go through one entrance. And as soon as you enter in, you have to have a photo ID in the ticket, showing that you purchased your ticket. If you don't, you'll be turned away. Most of the times you cannot buy your ticket at the door now, or you have to buy it beforehand at the ticket office, which is in the Union. But after you do that, you get your wristband, and then you'll be going to the metal detector. Before you get to the metal detector, you have to empty out your pockets, take off your belt if you have a belt, maybe take off your chain, anything that might set that off, as well as when you pass the metal detector, you might have to go back because you didn't take everything out that you thought you had. Then sometimes you even get patted down. So if you're a male, you most likely will always get patted down. If you're female, they will try to have a female officer pat you down, but sometimes they most likely won't pat you down. And then you'll be able to enter the party.
Of course, I definitely feel like I have the same opportunities, you know. I'm able to go to college, I'm able to read, and I'm able to write. I have the same opportunities, and if I don't have the opportunity, I just make the opportunity, you know what I mean? If there's no door, then you just build a door, pretty much. I try to make my own opportunity. I try to, if I see something I want, I try to pursue it. I mean, nothing can really stop me from doing that. So really, can't nobody say you don't have the same opportunities. I might have more obstacles and more barriers and challenges, yeah, but I definitely got the same opportunities. I make my own opportunities.